Hi, I'm Angus Cola, and I would like to introduce you to a story about a Trail of Tears, or the Native Indian Removal Act. Introduction. Our story begins on May 30th, 1830, where Andrew Jackson, America's 7th president, put in place the Indian Removal Act, which one could consider as being America's most heinous crime against humanity. The Indian Removal Act. This revolting act soon became law after being unanimously voted upon by the Senate, was in favor of the white colonialist settlers, which essentially gave them the right to the ancestral lands of the native Indians that inhabited the southeastern part of the United States. Because of this, the native Indians really did not want to give up their ancestral lands and tried to negotiate with the US government. This brought upon certain agreements. One very popular one that comes to mind is the New-Echota Agreement. This didn't obviously pass because, for instance, the Cherokee Indians did not like this agreement and felt that the people that made this agreement with the American government betrayed them and they were put to death and assassinated. Also, the Indian Removal Act was supposed to be a peaceful process of the relocation of Indians to a desolate part of the United States west of the Mississippi River, away from the ancestral lands in the southeastern part of the United States. This settlement today is known as East Oklahoma. The United States government rounded up soldiers as well as voluntary soldiers to remove the Indians off of their land. It was supposed to be peaceful. Unfortunately, however, this did not prove so, and was not the case for the Indians. Chapter 2. The Trail of Tears. Not long after the Indian Removal Act was put into place, the white American colonialists began the segregation process whereby 3,000 soldiers and volunteers gathered up about 20,000 Native Americans, which consisted of 5 tribes in the southeastern United States, would then march across west of the Mississippi River to their new reservation, which is now southeastern Oklahoma. The trek was about 1,000 miles, which the Indians had to complete on foot, whereby the soldiers then urged them across the journey by gunpoint and at the point of a bayonet. One of these 5 tribes we shall know today that was part of the trek and the removals of the Indians in the southeast were the Cherokee tribes. They have a legend whereby the Trail of Tears has the Cherokee flower, which makes a trail along that very same trail all the way from the eastern part of the United States to Oklahoma across the tear, where every teardrop of a Cherokee woman fell, grew a Cherokee flower. There are many stories and recollections that were preserved in the memories of the children and grandchildren of the survivors of the Trail of Tears. One of the stories that comes to mind is the Samuel Memories. This is about a little boy who was involved in the Trail of Tears. As a young boy, him and his family were forced out of their home by the point of a bayonet, and they had to do the 1,000-mile trek across the United States, whereby his mom actually died during the trek. People were weak, people were beaten, people were killed who tried to run away. I mean, the white American colonialists were very brutal to the Indians. Where Indians fell and died, they just buried them across on the side of the road and just continued on walking. I mean, people would die of starvation. It was very cold at the time. There were no provisions for these people. I mean, this little kid actually recalled how he woke up in the morning and his mother died, and he didn't understand what was going on. He could not fathom why this was happening to them. Why were they stripped from their home? Why did they have to endure this torturous, treacherous journey across the United States? In his stories, in his memories, he actually recalls how much he hated the soldiers, how he hated their skin. And also in his stories, he recalls the discrimination and the persecution that he went through because of the color of his skin. Conclusion. About 5,000 Indians lost their lives out of a total amount of 20,000 Indians that were displaced and stripped of their ancestral lands, that walked the 1,000-mile journey across the United States to Oklahoma. One can only imagine, how did the white colonialists get away with such an atrocity? Well, history repeats itself, and the Indian Removal Act is just one of many crimes committed against this great nation.